Hello, everybody. Today I want to talk about a channel that is known as the Twins. The Twins are known to be Republicans, generally right-leaning conservatives. And I was very surprised, very pleasantly surprised the other day to come across a video of them, actually two videos of them speaking about Palestine and speaking very objectively about Palestine. And of course, they said a lot of surprising things. So I'm going to say some quotes from their channel. First quote, which is from the video titled AOC stormed by pro-Palestinian protesters. So they say, you can actually call it a genocide, what is going on by Israel. But as conservatives, we're supposed to say those Palestinians deserve all that. So let's break down what they just said here, this quote by the Twins. They say that they're admitting that, yes, you can call it a genocide. There's nothing crazy about calling it. It's such a clearly a genocide. Many neutral, non aligning groups have come out to say that this is a genocide by Israel. This is it's so clear. The only person who pretty much ignores this stuff is the same person who still believes that Israel should be getting all this money each year and they need to have all the land because it's their promised land and whatever. And then what really surprises me is when they say, as conservatives, we're supposed to call those people, we're supposed to say those Palestinian people deserved all that. So this is true what they're saying, because a lot of conservatives, unfortunately, at least in the past, have been extremely pro-Israeli and anti-Palestinian. Why? I don't know. I don't know why. Because I am Palestinian, and I can tell you this for sure, 100%. I know really what's going on in Palestine. So many Palestinians are united. Muslim and Christian Palestinians are united. So many Christians are being killed. Churches are being bombed. We had last year we had a few nuns who were sniped in a church. When it comes to interreligious problems, Palestine is one of the countries that it just doesn't exist there. Christians and Palestinians and Muslims, Palestinians have lived together for ages, ever since the Muslims first arrived in Palestine. We are the same people, we just don't believe in the same religion. I have seen so many Christians over the years being kicked out of Palestine because they were living more on the sea cities such as Haifa and Jaffa and Akka. You find a lot of Palestinian Christians living in Latin America and the United States and other countries because they were kicked out of there. They were kicked out by the Israelis. They weren't kicked out by Muslims. They were kicked out by Israelis. That's how it is. Nowadays, even in my region, we still have a population of Christians, even though the population has died out a lot, unfortunately, due to the occupation. We still have quite a few Palestinian Christians. And I've never heard of a killing happening between these religions. We have the same culture, we have the same language, we're the same people, we just believe in two different religions. That's all it is. It's a division based on theology, not a division based on ethnic lines or anything like that. We're both going through the same exact struggle. We're both being killed and bombed. The only difference is that Muslims are a bigger population in Palestine, so you naturally will have more Palestinian Muslims being killed. Does not mean that Christians are not being oppressed either. So the second quote that I'd like to go on to say is, if you were a true conservative, you would not agree with what Israel is doing in Gaza and the West Bank. I agree again. I mean, how can you call yourself a Christian when you're okay with Christians being killed in Palestine? How are you okay with that? Aren't you a Christian? Where is your shame when it comes to defending the people from your own belief, your own religion? Are Christian babies and women and children and elderly and men all deserve to die, even though they're Christian, just because they're Palestinian? Does that you weigh it down? It's like Palestinian, Christian. No, we're just going to go ahead and support the genocide of the Palestinian people, whether they're Christian or not. How could you call yourself a real Christian? You're not a real Christian. You are not a real Christian if you support Israel in killing innocent people in Palestine, Muslim and Christian. You are not. That's just the full truth here. And now to move on to the last quote that I got from the video, from this specific video, is what do the people in the West Bank and Gaza got? They got absolutely nothing. Majority of the relatives used to live in Israel. That's true. Just to stop here for a moment, that is 1000% true. And just so you know, the people of Gaza, even Hamas, you hate them, you like them, even Hamas, they are the descendants of people who are ethnically cleansed out of other parts of Israel, of modern day Israel, what used to be, of course, Palestine, what is truly Palestine. Their ancestors lived in those villages and they were ethnically cleansed and they were sent to Gaza, to live in Gaza in an open air prison. So those people have a rage against Israel that's 100% justified. They have an anger against them that's 100% justified. Now, you don't have, doesn't mean you have to agree with what they do, but their rage is just, their anger is justified. I'm not talking about their actions. Actions is something else. I'm talking about their intention, their anger and their rage. Can you imagine growing up in a huge open air prison? More than 2 million people. Half the population are children. Half the population, about 20% of the population are disabled from bombs. You'll see kids there without legs and without arms. And then you'll find out a few days later they get bombed too. So these people, of course, these people in Gaza are literally descendants of refugees of the rest of the Palestine. They're literally the descendants of the refugees. I am lucky myself. I'm lucky myself because my region was able to fight off the British very early on. So we don't have, I'm not a refugee. If I go back to Palestine, when I do go back and I go in my village, I had my family there. I have my tribe there, my clan. We have a sort of more protection than the people in Gaza who don't have tribes, who don't have big families. And their families were ethnically cleansed anyway. What's left of them? What's left of them? In Jenin, though, we do have a refugee camp called the Jenin refugee camp that's constantly under attack by the Israelis. This refugee camp, if you go there, you'll find and you ask the people, where are you originally from? They're going to tell you, I'm from Safad, I'm from Akka, I'm from Haifa, I'm here from Jaffa, I'm from all these cities. They're from so many cities. They went to Jenin to seek refuge. And we're not going to deny our own people. These are our people. They're suffering with us. We'll suffer with them. We all suffer together. We take care of each other. We protect them. Muslim and Christian, by the way. We protect the Muslim and the Christian, by the way. So the refugee camp, pretty much every region in Palestine has at least one refugee camp. And these refugee camps are hubs. Yeah, they have like tens of thousands of people living in them. And they're constantly being airstriked, constantly having homes being bulldozed, buildings being bombed. They have incursions by the IDF, by the jeeps and the soldiers going to houses, killing people in their houses. We're also under blockade a lot. Our blockade isn't as bad as Gaza. It's not even 1/10 of what they have, 1/100th of what they have. Unfortunately, they have it much worse. But we do have a blockade. We do get a blockade as well because we are Palestinian, where we are already, we've already been served our sentence, which is death. We have to be killed. We have to be killed. And for me, personally, I don't agree whatever group you are. If you're killing innocent men, women, and children, if you're killing men, women, and children who are not even combatants, they're just sitting in their homes, you're desecrating them, you should not be giving any funding. In fact, there should be laws put against you to control you and punish you for what you're doing, for your crimes. This is how it should be. War is not bombing babies. War is a fighter against a fighter. Get it through your thick skulls, you extremist Israelis, extremist conservatives. You cannot kill innocent people. And whatever excuse you want to bring me, one crime does not justify another crime. One crime does not justify another crime. It's not that somebody punches me in the face, I get angry and I punch some other guy in the face. That doesn't make sense, does it? It's very simple logic. But I know that many very extreme conservatives, they don't have any logic to begin with. So to continue on with their quote here. The Patriottwins then go on to say, they were displaced because it was originally called Palestine and they all lived in harmony or relative harmony, Christians, Muslims, and Jews. It makes sense to me why people say free Palestine. Thank you. Now you understand what we've been going through since World War I. This is not something new. It's not since October 7. Yeah? This war has been going on since the World War I, since the British. We're fighting the British. And we're fighting the colonizers who came after the British. And then we're fighting these people who are going village to village, bulldozing, bombing, terrorist attacks by the Haganah and the Irgun, who later became the IDF, by the way. So it's not a very good lineage there. We're constantly being under attack for 100 years now. 100 years. You know how many Palestinians killed over 100 years? Well, about 100 years. I would call it 100 years since it's World War I. You know. This is the truth of the matter, is that we did in fact live in harmony before this. We lived in very, I wouldn't say relative, because it was more than relative. Almost perfect harmony. Almost perfect harmony. This is why if you go to Palestine today, you're going to find churches that are so old that are untouched by the Muslims. In the Muslim areas, if you go to the Israel side, you're going to find a lot of churches destroyed. If you go to Gaza, you're going to find a lot of churches destroyed. I'm talking about in the West Bank, where we mix, our populations are mixed, Muslims and Christians. You're going to find so many churches there, old churches. I visited a few. They're very nice to visit as well, because you get to see history. The history of our people. You know, even though I'm not a Christian, we are the same group of people. So I like seeing that history anyway. I like learning. You will also see a lot of temples, Jewish temples built everywhere that are old. You'll see a lot of old mosques. Why? For the simple fact that we lived in harmony before the British came. This should all be blamed first and foremost on the British. We accepted so many of these people, of these Jews from Europe, these European Jews. We accepted so many of them because many people in the past felt bad for them because of the whole genocide that happened by Hitler. The Israelis had ships in which they had giant banners on these ships saying, the Europeans let us down, do not let us down in Palestine. Or something along similar lines. They were escaping Europe because they lost their hope in Europe because the Europeans already showed them. They already showed them how the barbaric they can be. So they came to Palestine seeking refuge. What were they given? They were given refuge. They bought some land. They were given some land, or they bought some land. Then that land somehow became theirs. The rest of the land around their own land became theirs somehow. It became only their land. These European Jews, only their land, nobody else's land. They started bombing, killing, terrorist attacks, suicide bombings. You know that Israelis were doing suicide bombings? I'm not talking about Hamas. I'm talking about Israelis used to do suicide bombing. Israeli blue-eyed Europeans. Now, of course, the Hashtuns did go over the fact that Palestinians don't look European. It's true. Most of us don't look European. It's European for me is a specific. They look very specific. It's not based on skin color alone. It's based on more features, more facial features. One thing about Palestinians too. Now, like ending the quotes here and going on to. And ending the conversation about harmony and religion. Going on to another topic is the ethnic people of Palestine. We're very mixed. We are very mixed. So we can find people white skin like me. Like me, I'm a white skin guy. Obviously, you can see me. My father was not a white skin guy. He's not a white skin guy. He's a brown skin guy. And his father was a black skin guy. His father is a black skin guy. So we are really mixed. This is in our DNA. you know? We're not just some skin superiority complex people. We don't care where you're from. If you're a good person, you're a good person. That's all it boils down to for us. If you're a good person, you're trustworthy, then you're trustworthy, you're good. That's it. In fact, my own grandfather, he was black, as I said. My grandmother, she was very white, blue-eyed. She wasn't European. She was 100% Palestinian. 100% Palestinian. She wasn't European. But this just goes to tell you that we are really mixed. So we can have light-skinned people all the way down to black people. And we're all the same people. We don't call them black Palestinians. We don't have white Palestinian. We don't have brown Palestinian. We're just Palestinian. Straight up. But the difference is that we are still Palestinian. We've been there. We've been living there. Our ancestors have been living there. We still don't look like, I've seen really white Palestinians, really white looking, European looking Palestinians. They still don't, you can still very much tell the difference between a European and a Middle Eastern. Trust me, you can still tell the difference. But that's not the thing. That's not just the thing. So in the other video of the Hashtuns, where they're talking about this low-life scumbag called Kid Rock, who went on a Joe Rogan show, they also said this again. They also mentioned how, I don't have the exact quote, but it was something along the lines of, we are supporting, we are called anti-Semites for supporting Palestinians, for calling it a genocide, even though Palestinians are also Semitic. And that never made sense to me. Because how can I be anti-Semitic if I am Semitic? In fact, the biggest group of Semitic people on the planet are Arabs. We are the biggest Semitic group. We're literally the biggest Semitic group. We're the biggest population of Semites. And then there's probably right after them, there's probably Ethiopians, not even Jews. Like, Ethiopia has a really huge population. And Ethiopians are black skinned, but they are Semitic. They are Semitic people. Then there's Jews, and there's Chaldeans, there's Assyrians, and there's people who are descended from all these, and generally Arabs. We are just generally Arabs. We are Arab people. So to just think that, oh, you're anti-Semitic because you're anti-Jew. No, if you find somebody who's anti-Jewish, just call them an anti-Jew. Don't call them an anti-Semite, because that doesn't make sense. Like, it's very much possible for, like, what do you call somebody who is like a Jewish person, like Norman Finkelstein, for example? What do they call him? Anti-Semite too? I mean, he's a Jew. Are they going to call him anti-Jewish? He's anti himself. No, that's not how it works. When somebody calls you out for a crime you're doing or something wrong you're doing, that's on you. That's on you. You don't get to play the victim card and say, oh, you're anti-Semitic, you're anti-this. No. We are anti-crime. We are anti-murder of innocent people. We are anti-ethnic cleansing and genocide. We are anti-land grabbing and stealing. We are anti all these things. So do not ever tell me that it's anti-Semitic to be against something Israel is doing. I'm never going to believe that. It's just as far as it's going to go. So again, to make a small recap, I'm very happy for what the Hashtuns are saying. I'm hoping this changes minds of more conservatives in America, because I know a lot of the Democrats, a lot of them are not truthful. A lot of them are not truthful people. They could not care less for Palestinians. I'm telling you, all they care about is one specific group of people that have a lot of letters in their title, okay? And they will literally gauge how important your life is based on your support of or being anti those people. I noticed that myself. You think I haven't had Democrats come up to me, tell me, yeah, we're pro-Palestinian, we're pro-Palestinian. Yeah, we're free Palestine. I'm like, okay, thank you for your support. And then the next word they say, yeah, and we're pro-gay, and we are gay, and we want you to support me. I say, no, I'm sorry, my religion is very clear on that. My religion is very clear on that. They say, oh, you're a Zionist. You're just like a white guy. You're Uncle Tom. Calling me Uncle Tom. I'm coming from Palestine. I was born in the Middle East. I grew up in the Middle East. I know exactly how Palestinians are. Trust me, Palestinians in Palestine, Christian and Muslim, are pretty conservative. They're pretty conservative. We're not extreme. We never had ISIS, by the way. We don't like ISIS. We never had any groups like ISIS. We're not pro-ISIS. We were never pro-ISIS. But at the same time, we are conservative. That's for sure. Generally, we are pretty conservative. We do have a lot of liberals, but we are generally pretty conservative people. Especially somebody like me, who is from a village and who has a clan, who's from a tribal background. Because we still live a tribal lifestyle. It's a modern tribal lifestyle. So I'm very happy to see this. I'm hoping more conservative open their eyes for what's going on in Israel, going on in the war crimes committed by Israel on the West Bank and Gaza. And not just what's been happening since October 7, but what's been happening for many, many years now. Thank you very much for watching. This is going to be the end of my video here. If you enjoyed this video, please share, like, and subscribe. I want as many people to see my videos as possible, to give like kind of outlook, give an opinion from somebody who is actually Palestinian. Not to remove any credit from anybody else, but you know, I see a lot of things firsthand, and I have family who've been killed and murdered. So I know I have a little more closer, a better understanding of what's going on there than even pro-Palestinian YouTubers on YouTube who are not Palestinian, who don't have any family there. So thank you very much for watching, and have a good night.